Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another walk and talk. And yeah, we've got some interesting kind of stuff that's been going on in the crypto space over the last 24 hours since I was last out in the wood, getting some fresh air and yeah, kind of just taking the camera out for a walk, talking crypto. So that's kind of what this segment is all about. If you find it useful, informative, maybe entertaining as I try to avoid all the mud, smash the like button. We appreciate that here at Cheeky Crypto. If you haven't yet joined us in Discord, check that out. Link is in the description below. So let's jump into the main subject matter for today. Well, as I kind of covered off this morning with Bitcoin, we did actually see a lot of liquidity kind of getting drained out of the market once again. Again, not too surprising, as we do find Bitcoin in a bit of a ranging market at the moment, essentially just kind of bouncing between a high and a low area. And we are seeing sometimes a little bit of a higher high and a higher low, kind of fueling a little bit of that retail kind of FOMO. Which actually is kind of just leading to more liquidity getting grabbed and taken out of the market. And what's really interesting about all of that in the last kind of 24 hours is we've seen $37 million of liquidations just for Bitcoin. And 67% of that was short positions, right? So what did we see? Well, we saw the opposite not that long ago. We saw a big move to the downside where we saw all of those long positions, or a vast majority of long positions, getting wiped out. And now you see the opposite. Okay, this is, I think, the third time in a very short space of time that we have basically moved up and moved down very rapidly, and vice versa, which has led to some individuals making significant amounts of money and others, typically retail investors, getting wrecked. And so, another 37 million drained in terms of liquidity out of the market from those liquidation events, and moving over to typically market makers, whales, and basically people who can manipulate markets. It's quite frustrating at times, but it's a part and part of the game at the same time. Now, obviously, when it comes to the technical analysis of kind of like Bitcoin and of kind of like the charts, we have to kind of appreciate that things are not necessarily as bullish as a lot of individuals want them to be, right? There's definitely this kind of hope, this kind of, I guess, desire to see us in a bullish market, and I totally understand that. I want us to be in a bullish market as well. There's definitely a lot of bullish sentiment, but bullish sentiment alone doesn't equate to a bull market. We definitely see a lack of volume for Bitcoin, and that lack of volume essentially indicates to us that we're not in a bullish market at the moment. Now, it's not to say that the price action may have bottomed out for Bitcoin. That's very true. That is kind of redundant to the point of a bear market, bull market situation. What we find ourselves in is the very definition of a bullish market is when the supply or demand outpaces that of the supply, right? So essentially what we mean by this is that there is a higher demand than the supply can cope with. So essentially what we mean is that there's going to be so many people looking to buy Bitcoin that essentially there's not enough sellers at key prices. The price has to go up and find the people who are willing to sell at those higher ranges in order to fuel those that buying habit, right? That buying pressure that is there. So the very definition of a bull market is when demand outpaces supply. And at the moment, we don't really have that. We have more of the situation where the supply is actually outpacing that of the demand, and so it doesn't make a lot of sense for price to be pushing up unless there's something else occurring here. And so we did see 𝗕𝗘𝗪 on X put a post out, and he pretty much is aligned to my thinking, or I'm aligned to his thinking, however you want to look at it. And we kind of come to the same kind of conclusion that we can't rule out, not yet anyway, a move down towards $12,000 Bitcoin. And this is something that I was kind of alluding to this morning in the technical analysis video what I covered on BTC, which was that we reconnect all of the low points in Bitcoin's history and all of the high points in Bitcoin's history. You can see that we haven't touched on that low trend line in the same way that we had done back in the previous two cycles, where we actually saw the price come down, tap that trend line, and bounce up into the bullish market. We haven't seen that yet for, you know, the most recent lows. Those most recent lows have actually avoided touching that trend line, which happens to coincide at about $12,000. And so there's some super bearish situations out there that say, you know, $6,000 Bitcoin. There's some conservative kind of targets out there that say $17,000 Bitcoin. And then there are, you know, logical explanations or expectations that we have a $12,000 Bitcoin. Now, if you think back to what I was talking about way back in 2022, you know, my original target ranges were kind of 13 to 14,000, and we didn't quite get there. We hit about 15 and a half, something like that. So we got close to it, but we didn't quite actually achieve those target ranges. The move to the upside is unusual, it's irregular, and there's no reason and rationale behind what is moving the price up there, other than the fact that there were some platforms, some institutions, and some exchanges that were in significant financial difficulty. But they're not in financial difficulty anymore, which makes you wonder, how on earth did price push up there? How on earth are they, you know, now, you know, flourishing at the expense of retail investors? So, you know, like I say, there's always a buyer, there's always a seller. A lot of retail has been FOMOing in 2023. But you haven't really seen the same for the institutions. So what's going on here? What do we think is likely to happen? Well, my expectations are that we are going to see a 40 to 50% correction in the crypto market. Now, that might be scary to some, to others that might be perfectly normal. If you've been in this space for a very long time, you'll know that 2017, in the bull market, a 40% reduction in Bitcoin price was common, it wasn't uncommon. We saw four of them during the bull market. As price was going up, we still had these little 40% moves to the downside as we were on that journey to the upside. So a 40% correction, if you're, you know, an OG of crypto, then you'll know that that's not really anything. If you're relatively new, let's say you only really got into the space in 2020, then yeah, you're not going to be used to a 40% correction, because in the last bullish market, we only really saw 20% corrections. We didn't really see anything of substance until we kind of got close to the top. So we need to be aware that there's definitely going to be people who are more comfortable with what is going to happen, in my opinion, versus a whole host of newish people, new to the space, only been in for a couple of years, who are not really that sure what an actual correction looks like when it comes to these crypto markets. So my expectations are that we are going to see a bit of a move to the downside. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm going to be completely aligned to 𝗕𝗘𝗪 on X, who's saying $12,000. We can't rule it out, but I do expect a move 40 to 50%, taking us at least down towards $20,000 over the coming months. And that's going to be a huge opportunity. It's not an opportunity to sell your bags now and then just buy it all back later. I mean, you can do that if you want to. It's not something I'm personally going to be doing. But what I will be doing is taking advantage of this move to the downside. As in, I'll see a 40 to 50% correction as an opportunity to dollar cost average into the market even heavier than I have done already. It's not an opportunity to sell everything and risk everything and try to buy it all back cheaper. It's a case of working as hard as I can to get as much fiat as I possibly can to deploy when that opportunity in the markets does present itself. You can obviously disagree or you can agree with me. You can let me know in the comments below if you think that's a good strategy or a bad strategy. But that's kind of the way I'm approaching the market right now. I think we had plenty of opportunities to swing in and out of the market in 2022. It was very well structured. And I think realistically speaking, it's probably higher risk now to try to do that. But dollar cost averaging, adding more fiat into the market, potentially is the way forward. At least it will be for me personally. You can let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below as to whether that's what you're planning to do or not. But ultimately, you know, if we do see a $12,000 Bitcoin, well, that is one crazy opportunity that must be purchased up, in my humble opinion. Let me know what your thoughts are on all of this in the comments below. Do you agree with 𝗕𝗘𝗪? Do you think $12,000 Bitcoin is something that we're going to see? Or do you think we're just going to be moving down a little bit before we get ready for that next bullish swing in the market? Let me know in the comments down below. Till the next one though, guys, have a fantastic day.